This is an authentic copy of what was. And then Craig Ramon, I'm going to call right now, will go through that and confirm his comments.
We can do 3 minutes if you want us to do that, Judge, with my hand.
I think I've got enough. I can probably craft some.
To be heard, I'm willing to talk.
I think I know all your arguments. Thank you. Is everything on the fly, and I'm going to ask that the counsel not embellish any of the facts. Okay, Mr. Okay, we're ready for the jury.
You don't want to turn that on and show it.
Good morning, members of the jury. Pray that your traveling in this morning was safe and everyone got here okay. The weather outside is still winter, I guess. Well, there is a new piece of evidence in this case. I'm going to tell you about that. A viewer that's been following this trial out of the court and familiar with finding archived website links investigated the link referenced on Defendant's Exhibit 102. That's the Mr. Sanderson email to his daughters on the day of the accident. There's a link at the bottom of that page. Well, this viewer, through their efforts and expertise, through that, we now have a copy of what was, and you will receive going to be an exhibit. It's Plaintiff's Exhibit 44 and Defendant's Exhibit 102. Plaintiff's Exhibit 44 and Defendant's Exhibit 102. And the parties do agree that this new exhibit is authentic. Plaintiff, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Plaintiff Terry Sanderson calls or recalls Craig Ramon.
Mr. Ramon, you'll need to be sworn in again as a witness. It's a new day. Right up here, sir.
Hello. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God? Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ramon.
Hey, good morning.
I've handed you Plaintiff's Exhibit 44. Have you had a chance to review that before?
Yes.
And this are the comments and postings on meetup.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
This was the website that you used to meet up with the other skiers on the day of the crash, correct?
Yes.
And first, I'd like to turn you to page 2 of Exhibit 44, Plaintiff's Exhibit 44. And on the lower left, you see the color photograph of the woman smiling?
Yes.
Is that the ski patroller that you met on the day of the crash?
I'm guessing it is.
You want to show it?
Okay. You have it on page 2?
Oh, yes, yes, I believe that's her.
That's Whitney Smith that you met that day?
Yes.
Show it.
Oh, show it, sorry. You see on the lower left of Exhibit 44, page 2?
Yes.
Okay. And you made a few postings on this meetup.com website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to read some of your postings on that day, and so I'm going to reference some of the pages. Could you turn to page 4 of 9? The page numbers are on the bottom right. So, do you see page 4 of 9?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I've got a peek first. Better zoom in so you see it.
Okay. Okay, your first comment on that page 4, I'm just going to read it to you and ask you to confirm that this is what you posted. But before we start that, you'll see it says 2,588 days ago.
Yes, I see that.
And this was probably before the ski crash, but on the same day, correct?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it was probably it was right around. Which one are you talking about?
The one in the middle of the page.
Just give Deer Valley your pass. Yes, that's
Okay,
that's
so
true.
you wrote or typed in that day, just give Deer Valley your pass. They have your photo. It will be a great day. I will be on the hill at 9:30. That's your first posting that day, you believe?
Yes.
Okay, and then at the bottom of the page 4, you have another post. Well, maybe, well, let's see. I guess that one's a different one, maybe. Let's see. Well, maybe that's a different day. I'm going to move to the next one. Let's go to page 6 of 9. Can you go there? Okay, I'm going to read just what you typed in there in the middle. It says, Scott, Terry was not doing the man thing. Terry had a bad hit to the head. You do not have the ski patrol take you down the hill if you have a pain in your ass. Is that what you typed that day?
Yes, it is.
This was the day of the crash.
This was a few days after.
Okay. Then at the bottom of that, page 6, and we're going to continue to 7, it has your name, and then it continues on to page 7. I'm going to read you what page 7 says. Scott, the thing you did not see was Terry was knocked out cold. Bad hit to the head. Not too sure if Terry has broken ribs. Terry did not know his name. I asked Terry what his name was, and he did not know. Scott, it scared the hell out of me. Is that what you typed?
True.
And that was on or around the day of the crash, or after the crash.
That was a little bit after, a few days after the crash.
Okay. I'm on page 7. You have another comment. Do you see that?
Yeah, yes, I do.
And you typed, Scott, thanks for the humor. I got it when you were trying to make light of it. You guys did not see what I did see. No need to say you're sorry. You typed that, correct?
Yes, I did.
Then the final page, page 8 of 9. And under your name it says, you cannot make this up. Gwyneth took out Terry last week. Last Saturday, her son broke his arm skiing at Park City. Gwyneth was staying at the Montage. She took her plane out of Million Airport. I wish I did know so many people. What makes me mad is that Gwyneth took out Terry and just took off. Is that what you typed that?
Yes,
that
it is.
the week after the crash?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and except for the irrelevant stuff at the end on page 9, that's all I have. Who is Very T in Exhibit 44? Plaintiff's Exhibit. Terry T is mentioned. Do you remember?
I'm not sure who Barry T is.
Could it be Terry Sanderson?
Sustained.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you look at the Very T comments and see if it...
Question right now. Go ahead and ask your next question.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Okay. Craig, would you go to page 2 of this Exhibit 44? Okay. On the left it says Very T, event organizer.
Yes, I do.
And also 2 over it says Kurt L, event groups. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Was Kurt L at the meetup group at Deer Valley on the day of the crash?
Yeah, Kurt was the one who organized that day.
Okay. Go back to the left. and look at Very T. Are you able to recognize the photo above Very T?
It looks like Terry, and Terry was the one who organized the meetup groups up at Alta.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Bueller. Mr. Egan?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ramon, good to see you again. I have a couple questions from the defense. So the first would be, at the start of this page, and I haven't used this Elmo projector before, so give me a second. Do you see that on page 2? Got it. Thank you. I have to press focus. Okay, there you are. So you see that there's some photos there at the bottom of the page.
Yes.
And do you recognize the photo there of the ski patroller?
Yes,
Was that Whitney Smith,
I believe so.
the ski patroller who responded to Mr. Sanderson on the hill
Yes.
and cared for him during the urgent care or the first aid clinic visit that he had there on the ski hill?
Yes.
And I do not see any videos there. Were there any, to your memory, GoPro or other videos posted on this webpage?
No.
And then, and I believe you're unaware of any GoPro footage at all. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then if you go to page, let's match it up with mine here, page 7. Actually, your name is cut off at the top there, so if you look back at page 6, can you see that it shows your name and then goes on to page 7 where there's, at the very top there, a note that you wrote. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and in that note, you write, Terry did not know his name. I asked Terry what his name was, and he did not know. But I believe you've told the jury last week that he did remember his name.
He had to really think hard about it. It took like 4 or 5 seconds for him to remember his name.
But that's not what you wrote here. You wrote here, Terry did not know his name.
When I first asked him, he didn't know his name. He had to really think about it.
I asked Terry what his name was, and he did not know.
Yeah, he when I asked him, he didn't know his name, and then he just took some time to kind of just think about it, and then after about 4 or 5 seconds, he just said, Terry.
Okay. So what you wrote here is not what you told the jury last week. Is that fair to say?
Could you please repeat that?
Just here in your note, you do not say that he did later remember his name. You just say he didn't remember it all. And as I understand it, that was different than what you told the jury last week. Is that correct?
Yes. When I basically was talking about this, I didn't go into much detail, on this. I was just making a point that he was having a hard time knowing what his name was.
Okay, so let's go to this last page, well, I guess there's a kind of blank page at the end, but page 8, the last page with your comments on it. Do you see up there at the top another one of your comments?
James, you can expand that.
Okay.
You can zoom if you want.
Yeah, it is hard to see.
No, just hit focus.
I'm learning old technology. I appreciate this. Thank you. Okay, so in this comment that you wrote, correct, this top comment is yours, Mr. Ramon?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and in this comment you wrote, Gwyneth took out Terry last week. last Saturday her son broke his arm skiing at Park City. How did you know that?
There's a lady I know that works at works at Snowbird and Deer Valley. She works up at the Montage, or Deer Valley, and she told me.
Okay. And then Gwyneth was staying at the Montage. How did you know that?
That's what she told me.
And why were you talking to her about Gwyneth?
She knew what happened, and then she told me that what happened.
Sorry, that's not clear to me. So she knew what happened?
She knew that that Gwyneth took out Terry, and so then when I saw her, she told me what happened. I didn't ask her about it. She just told me that's what happened.
Well, she wasn't there at the collision, right?
No, she just worked up at the hotel.
So how would she have any knowledge of it?
I have no idea.
She took her plane out of Millionaire Airport. How did you know about Miss Gwyneth or with Miss Paltrow's travels?
One of my best friends, he works at a Millionaire, and that's where a lot of the private jets, the charter jets, that's where they fly into that part of the airport.
It sounds to me like you were talking to a lot of people about Gwyneth Paltrow during this time. Is that correct?
No, my best friend, he knew what happened, and he's the one who told me.
So you didn't tell these people what happened, even though you were the one at the collision site?
Yeah, I told my friend what happened, yes.
Okay. So you were telling people about this accident?
Yes, I've told people about it.
And then they were telling you things they knew about Miss Paltrow, that at least they claimed to know about Miss Paltrow?
Yes.
But they could be mistaken, is that correct?
Yes.
So if Miss Paltrow's son didn't in fact break his arm while skiing, you wouldn't dispute that? You wouldn't have any way to dispute that, correct?
I have no idea. That's just what I was told.
Let me go back. I just have, I think, one more question for you. So if you were to look at let's go to page 7. Those comments that I believe you've connected to Terry Sanderson, those ones in the middle of the page, you can read them to yourself. But my question is, given that you've described him as being knocked out cold in other comments here, I wanted to ask you whether you found Terry to be articulate in his posts and comments on this page following his injury.
Argumentative. Objection.
Sustained as to vagueness, if you could point out something.
Okay. So maybe it's better to go. These are kind of difficult because they don't have dates on each comment, correct? They just show, for example, let's go to this one. This one at the bottom, you see on Very Terry's, or Very T's comment, it says 2,584 days ago, correct?
Yes, I see that.
Okay, and
James, that's from Saturday, by the way.
okay, yeah, I don't know that. So I'm asking Mr. Ramon, do you know when these comments were made? Was this on the day of the accident when he says you organized a perfect day?
I don't see where it says you organized I don't see where does it say that you organized a perfect day?
It's on page 6, the third comment down.
While he's looking at that, would counsel approach, please?
So, Mr. Ramon, this comment I'm pointing you to on page 6 says it's under very T. Yes, Kurt, you organized a perfect day for skiing. Thank you. That's true, Scott. I still have my wheels. It was nice to get to know you a bit today. Do you know whether that was written on the day of the accident?
I'm not sure if it was or not.
Would it surprise you that Mr. Sanderson was writing articulate notes like this after being knocked out and unconscious for 2 minutes?
It doesn't sound that articulate to me, but
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Mr. Bueller?
Craig, could you look at page 6 again?
okay.
And in the middle under very T, do you see that where it says, yes, Kurt, you organized a perfect day?
Yes, I do.
And then look at the number of days it is. Is it 2,584?
Yes, it is.
And then your comment below that, it says 2,583 days ago.
Yes.
So those comments were made on different days.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any follow-up, Mr. Egan? Okay, you may step down, Mr. Ramon.
Okay, thank you.
You still remain subject to the orders of the court until the case is over or you're released. So thank you.
Thank you. What should I do with this?
Leave it right there. Plaintiff, you may call your next witness.
Thank you for coming.
Plaintiff's called.
Mr. Terry Sanderson.
Hi. Please raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in the case now before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, absolutely.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Good morning, sir.
Terry, I want you to get comfortable and speak into the mic, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Could you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Yes. My name is Terry, Terry, Howard, Howard, Sanderson, Sanderson.
Thank you. Now, Terry, this is the 5th day of trial. We started last Tuesday. You weren't here much last week, were you?
Not at all.
In the courtroom. Were you in the courthouse?
Yes, definitely.
May we approach?
Sure.
Terry, did you want to be here the last 4 days, last week, inside the courtroom?
I love spending time with my daughters and have them hear what they had to say, but in this case, I didn't want to be here because I wanted them to speak totally freely and without the discomfort of being in my presence if they had something to say.
Is that why you weren't here?
Absolutely, yes.
We're going to cut to the chase on a lot of things because I made counsel a promise that I would have you in less than an hour.
Wow.
And so I'm going to be true to my word here. It's 10 o'clock. We'll be done before 11. Okay? I want to talk about skiing. Tell the jury about your ski experience. What type of skier were you?
At that time, or do you want some background?
We don't need a whole lot of background.
Okay.
Back in 2016, what type of skier were you?
I was advanced intermediate. There was no places I would go except serious bumps, narrow little gulches, and I didn't do any big jumps. So other than that, I would go just about anywhere.
Okay. How often would you ski?
2 to 3 times per week.
Okay. For how many years?
Well, I started 37 years ago. It was a winter sport for my family. We lived at high elevation.
Okay. And in all of your years, other than the ski collision with Miss Paltrow, have you ever been in another ski accident?
Never. Never.
Have you ever skied with the ski patrol?
As a matter of fact, I had the good fortune. I learned to ski from a family that owned a ski resort. They were relation, and they would come out to Snowbird, and they were, I think, it was a whole family-run operation with 8 children, and so they were ski patrollers and they were instructors, and I had the very best of company every winter for a week when the kids were out of school. And then I had the good fortune of having a Lions Club friend, Scott, who's still a dear friend, that lives up in Spokane, and he was a ski patroller for Targhee. And he said, Terry, come up with me, on this weekend. And I said, I'll slow you down. And he said, you know what? Just follow me and do what I do. And that's what I did. And I had the good fortune of spending a lot of time with Scott and seeing and observing what ski patrols do and how they calm people down and reassure them they're going to be okay. So I really appreciated that experience.
So it sounds like you've skied at Snowbird, skied at Targhee. Had you ever skied at Deer Valley on the day of the collision?
No.
That was your first time ever skiing at Deer Valley?
It was.
Okay. Let's talk about that day. Couple of preliminary things. I asked Miss Paltrow on Friday how tall she was. How tall are you?
I think I'm now 5'5".
Okay. And what was your weight at the time of the collision?
Well, in the VA, you don't take anything off. Whatever you walk in with, your coats, heavy coats in wintertime, boots, wallets.
I give that excuse too when I. How much did you weigh about?
Fully dressed, I was, or undressed, probably 63, 62 pounds, 163, 162.
Okay, all right. So the jury's heard about meetup groups. What is a meetup group?
A meetup group was just a lifesaver for me, being new to this area. Hard to accumulate friends, and so when a fellow that I was on a hike with, a new fellow, said, have you heard of Meetup? And I hadn't. So he says, look it up and sign up. And I did. And it was a wonderful organization of groups of people where you had a shared interest, whether it was dancing or concerts or skiing. And so I signed up and joined some groups, and it was really a life changer.
Okay. So my understanding is the day of this ski collision, you were with kind of a group of people in the meetup group. Is that fair?
That's right.
All right. Did the group have a plan? I mean, were you the organizer of that meetup group that day?
No, I was not. I'd asked Kurt to take that over because I planned on being gone that day, and Kirk organized that.
Okay. It sounds like obviously you weren't gone that day. You ended up being able to make it.
I came back a little early from wherever I was and just said, oh, I'm going to go ski today. And I happened to see on the list that day also was a lady that I had met when I first moved here, and she happened to be a ski instructor at Canyons, but she had been at Deer Valley as well. And so I called and said, Debbie, I'm going to go. I'll pick you up. So I picked her up at Kimball Junction on the way and went there with her and dropped her off at the skis. And we met the group, and I asked her if it'd be okay if she let our group out because she's very familiar with Deer Valley. And so she said yes and gave us the rules of the road. Would you like to hear that?
So the meetup group, you guys kind of ski all together-ish?
Well, and this skiing meetup group is unusual. It's like herding cats. You've got those who just want to go, and they kind of know who one another is, and so they go ahead and group up, and sometimes I wind up skiing with the beginners and getting them started and making them comfortable. And so they don't stay together well. We meet, usually we'll say, let's meet at Alps at 1:30, and so that's what we do.
Okay, so you mentioned we set forth the rules of the road for that day. What were the rules of the road that day?
Well, the only rules of the road, we are pretty familiar with the rules of the road, so we don't go over that at the time. But Debbie just said, we're going to start down Bandana because that's how we'll get to the blacks of really good skiing. So our group knew that's where we're headed. And she said, whatever you do on Bandana, do not go down the middle of the run.
Why
It's
not?
packed and crowded with people. She said, go down the edges. She said, it'll be clear. And so when I came over the edge of the hill, there were heads bobbing in the middle. It was just compacted with little heads and big tall heads, and I just diagonaled. I went straight over to the right edge of that run.
And is that where you stayed prior to the collision?
I did. I stayed there the whole time because it was wide open.
So you were over to the right side to avoid the people. Did it have anything to do with your vision? There's been a lot of discussion about your right eye problem.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But skiing on the right side of the run, did that have anything to do with your right eye?
Yeah, maybe that's one of the things, yes.
Okay. And we'll talk about your vision in just a couple minutes, but I want to focus on the collision right now. Craig Ramone, he just testified.
Oh, yes.
You saw him. He also testified last week. How well did you know Craig at the time back February 2016?
He was one of maybe an average of 15 people, 10 or 15 people that would come, so I shared his company during those times. And I knew him only as being an amazing skier, strong skier, and knew that. And I appreciated the fact he tended to like to follow the group and be behind as the protector, because he brought a lady that was a person I knew that was his neighbor. So he would bring her up and ski behind her as a protector. So good guy.
Did you guys hang out a lot before this collision?
Of course, at lunch, we spent time together. And there may be a couple of other occasions where we met with him, but usually there was somebody else there along with us.
Okay.
So I don't remember being exclusive with him.
All right. So, Terry, take the jury through what happened in this ski collision. Take it from, say, getting off of the lift.
Yes, happy to do that. It was really a very nice day for skiing, and I was really looking forward to it. And of course, Deer Valley has amazing groomed runs. Found that out right away. And so I'm starting from when I get off.
When you got off of the ski lift.
Gotcha. So I was on a chair with probably 4 people. I think Joanne, Debbie, Craig, and there could have been another person besides myself. And we had already met and discussed going down the right side of that run, or going down the sides. And so I came over the top of the hill and saw that and headed for the right side, and I'll pick it up there. And everyone just kind of dispersed, some more to the right, more to the left. And I remember looking and seeing no one. And generally, beginner runs, people are afraid of the off-piste, of the off-groomers, and so they stay away from that area where the snow is piled up. And off-piste can be a rough ride. If you have to divert and run out in there, some skiers can't make it through there easy. It's a lot of bumps. So I went right down the run and started just making nice soft turns and staying within that boundary. It could have been as much as 5 yards wide, but it might have been more like 5 or 6 feet. Can't imagine and can't remember. Lots of room. And so I'm just skiing easy and paying attention, and all of a sudden in front of me is 2 big signs. I've never seen that big of slow down signs. It seemed like they were 4 by 8, like a 4 by 8 sheet of plywood size high, with great big letters, slow down. I went, whoa, and I'm looking around, and the crowd's about the same as me, and speed-wise. And so
Did you pay attention to the sign?
I did, and I backed off of whatever I was doing, and then another big sign, like 10 feet away, the same 4 by 8 sheet up there, big letters. Well, they're serious. Must be lots of merging trails down here. So I just backed off, and again, the skiers were on my left. We were all about the same speed, and I could see down where the edge of the run went. It curved around, a tree line came out a little bit, and the run curled around, and I could see about half of the, I don't know if it's the Montage or the Empire, I could about half of that beautiful building, and it was wide open. There was nothing in front of me, and so I came around that corner, and it takes my breath away to think this is hard, because I don't like going through this scene. I just remember everything was great, and then I heard something I've never heard at a ski resort, and that was a blood-curdling scream. Just, I can't do it. It was, ah, and then, boom. And it was like somebody was out of control and gonna hit a tree and was gonna die. And that's what I had until I was hit.
That's what was going on in your mind.
Overruled?
That's what's going on in your mind when you hear that scream.
That was instantaneous. Oh my gosh, somebody's out of control. And they're really seriously out of control. Not time for a hockey stop. I didn't go think about that, but most people could avoid that, I think. Good skiers.
Okay. And I'll move on.
Okay.
So you
All right, I need overruled. He's overruled.
thank you. So you hear this scream.
Yes.
What happens next?
You know, I got hit in my back so hard, and I'm right at my shoulder blades, and it felt like, and was perfectly centered, and the fists and the poles were right there at the bottom of my shoulder blades. Serious smack. Never been hit that hard, and I'm flying. I'm absolutely flying.
Now, you're not airborne.
Well, all I saw was a whole lot of snow, and I didn't see the sky, but I was flying in that sense. I had no control. And I remember this thinking, okay, you really got to hang on. And then I thought about the crowd on the left, and I thought, I don't know who's wanted over there, and I do not want to get them mixed up in here. And I've heard, that maybe that's not decided about how my ribs really got hurt. I absolutely lurched with what little I could off of my skis a little bit more to the right to make sure nobody over here got involved on my left side. And then it was like the ground's coming up, nobody in front of me, just me going to the ground, and you're falling far further than 90 degrees like you fall on a floor. You got that extra, and so it's quite a ways to hit the ground. And I just said, okay, you got to protect your face, and your head, and that's the last thing I remember. It didn't happen. I did glance over and saw, just out of the corner of my eye, I could see, not glance over, but I could see somebody going by, and I'm going, okay, they're safe. Last thing I remember, everything's black.
Did the person who struck you land on top of you?
I wouldn't know that. I absolutely would not know that. I was just surprised. I had no upper body strength enough to be able to catch myself. I had no idea.
Do you remember hitting your head on the ground?
No, that part, nope, that's all gone. I just remember my arms collapsing, and that's the last thing I remember.
What's the next thing you remember?
I'm getting an adrenaline rush here, I guess, living this again. Just being here and present, too.
And let me just stop you really quick. You said you're getting an adrenaline rush. Is this something that you enjoy?
Adrenaline rush? Not this
No.
kind. Not now.
Okay. All right. So what's the first thing that you remember? Or the next thing that you remember after
Well,
you're
yes.
on the ground?
The first remember is everything is still black, like I'm unconscious, but it's like my subconscious is going into protection mode, like, you better pay attention here and listen to what's being said to you. And all I could recognize was that someone was really angry at me. And it was a man, and it didn't come out clear in the beginning. I couldn't really hear what he was saying, but I just knew he was mad, and he was right above me, right close to me. And I'm feeling a little afraid, and I tried to move, and I could not move a limb. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't move my body. Nothing was responding. Just this message I was getting. And the next thing, it became a little more clear, and I heard him say, "Do you realize that you weren't skiing under the rules? You hit somebody. You hurt somebody." And it just insistent that I was the bad guy. And that's why I said, this has got to be a husband or boyfriend. It's really mad at me. And I sound like a big...
Did you know who he was?
I had no idea. No idea. It was just a very angry person trying to bully me into believing something that I didn't think could happen. Was I heard a woman's voice, right? Again, couldn't move. And about the third time he went through that, and it's getting louder, and I could start to understand what he was saying, and he was really insistent that I was doing something wrong and hit somebody. And I remember in desperation, because I couldn't move anything, I couldn't fight. I couldn't fight. Who's going to try? And I tried moving something, and I could move my skis a little bit. I could just feel just below my knee. I could just slide my skis a little bit. And that's an important point. My skis are still on. They're still on. And I'm thinking, I got to placate this guy. He's really mad. If he decided he wanted to jump on me right now, he could finish me off. I remember saying, I'm sorry.
Okay, now you're
Twice.
you're whispering.
I know
that,
I am,
but
because
maybe-
that's what I heard. Nothing was coming out. My lips were moving, my tongue was moving. There was nothing coming out of my mouth, and my heart rate went up again.
Okay.
Okay.
It looked like what you were mouthing was, "I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And I was just going, I can't believe it. I thought, try again. I'm sorry. Nothing was coming out. And to me, I heard nothing.
When you kind of mumbled, whispered, whatever you want to call it, "I'm sorry," was that you apologizing for causing the accident?
No, absolutely not. I was trying to placate this man in the only defensive manner that I could.
Okay. You've talked about the man who was yelling at you. Miss Paltrow last week admitted that she was kind of cussing you out as well. Do you remember any conversation that you had or anything that she said to you?
Absolutely not. There was one voice that my brain was focused on. Thank God, I guess. And that was self-protection, I guess. I only heard a male voice, a mad, angry male voice. I heard nothing. Maybe that happened before I came to that point in consciousness.
Were you still on the ground at this time?
Still on the ground, absolutely, face down on the ground.
How did you end up getting up?
Well, that's a story too, but basically, I heard Craig saying, "Terry, are you okay.
Now, this is Craig Ramone.
Well, at that point, I didn't identify his voice. Just things were a little strange yet. And I heard, Terry, are you okay? And about the third time it hit me, somebody is here to help me. I didn't, at that point, except an angry man was there. And I said, oh my gosh. And I went through, and I looked up and I could see Craig standing there above me, 8 or 10 feet. And on his immediate left, my right, was a man in an all green outfit and with a helmet on and ski goggles and, looked good. And I thought, oh, he's here to help me, right? He looks like he's from Deer Valley. And so I was going through the things, answering his question about, that were my thoughts. Now back to my injuries. Craig is saying, are you okay? And I said, oh, my ribs are so sore. There's just this really deep throbbing purple pain here. And then I said, my vision is swimming with sparks. And they were unusual sparks. I'm going, is that my retina? Is that my eyes? And it wasn't a retinal detachment, a retinal hole or anything. And I'm going, that's my brain. I'm thinking, those sparks are my brain.
And all this time, you're still on the ground.
I'm actually, the next point is that after I tell him about my ears my ears are buzzing. Oh, and I said my brain is like it's on Novocaine. And then I realized, oh, I'm not seeing, I missed a spot. And that's where I looked up and couldn't see them and got frightened about that. And I realized, going, oh my, what's going on? And then I went like this and go, oh, I was happy I could see. So I missed that part. That happened before I started telling what all is wrong with me, answering his question. And then Craig said to me, as I remember, of course, my brains are a little bit stretched out of place, and I remember him saying, do you know who you are? And what I thought I said was, oh my gosh, I can feel this pathway in my brain. It's going around and trying to figure out who I am. And yes, I know I'm Terry. And then he said, do you know where you are? And I said, I know I'm skiing, but I don't know where I am. And that's when the man in green took off. I was kind of noticing that he really wasn't interested in what I had to say. He wasn't asking questions. He was standing there rather stoically, head not moving, goggles on, just resting on his poles and his skis, and was sort of disinterested. But when he skied off, my heart sank, because I really thought he was the one person that was there to help me. And I'm laying on the ground with my head downhill, and I couldn't see where he went. So I was really
Terry, how'd you get up?
The question is how I got up, and that might have been the question in the beginning. But
That's right. How did you get up?
I realized that I was getting cold, and snow was packed in around me. I was starting to get a little shivery, maybe from a little shockish maybe, and I got to go. I got to get my skis downhill. And I started sliding my skis around and my legs around. I think Craig must have been shell-shocked about this guy leaving too. I don't know but what he thought, but I remember getting my skis around, and it's so painful every time you have to contract your...
Terry.
Thank you.
How did you get up?
Thank you. That is one of my habits. I just focus. After I got halfway around, a man showed up in front of me, and I thought he came from the right. And I don't remember if he said one word to me. He just reached down and grabbed me and jerked me up on my feet, which I was not ready to be up on my feet. My head's swimming. I'm in pain, worried about falling down again and breaking a rib, puncturing a lung. He gets me up, and I'm on the edge of the run, so it's bumpy. It's hard to get my skis under me, and I'm stomping down the snow and trying to get them in a spot. Got my poles wedged in, and I think I've got it in stability, and he's gone. And this time, I could see him. I could watch him go all the way down the hill. And I'm up. I'm standing up, but am I feeling safe? No. People are going by, shh, 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 you know. And I'm thinking, I do not want to get hit again.
My understanding is that you and Craig tried to ski down a little ways, but then didn't quite make it too far. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he said, you think you can ski? And I'm thinking, if the option is getting left up here, I will try anything. I got to get off here. So yes, he said, follow me, and I did. And I don't know how I was skiing. I don't think I was edging. I think I was probably snow plowing. And he finally turned around and said, Terry, stop. You've forgotten how to ski. And of course, it was just, we were trapped. And he said, I got to find help.
Your Honor, there's some hearsay here.
Eventually, Craig got help, yes?
Yeah, he said, I got to find help. And so he disappeared, and I just put my head down and prayed that I wouldn't get smacked into it again. I felt pretty vulnerable. And he disappeared.
What happened when help arrived?
You know, Whitney showed up, and I was so grateful to see someone. And
Now, is that Whitney Smith?
Yes, that's her name. Mm-hmm.
And the jury has seen pictures, and we're going to put another picture up in just a couple minutes. Is she the one in a red jacket that there's a picture of in this case? Do you know?
Yes, as a matter of yes, that's her. Mm-hmm.
All right. So did she take you down on the toboggan, or how did you get down?
She did. She said, "Are you okay?" kind of thing, and I don't know, not so good. I don't remember the conversation. It was a little easy stuff, and so got in, and I remember Whitney saying to me, "Now, you got to remember these things because I'm going to ask again later." And she told me that she was from Michigan, moved 5 years before, and had started on the ski patrol here 5 years before. She loved her job. Her name was Whitney, and that she had a horse named Titan that she wore in the years off. So she told me to remember those things. I'm going, this is a brain test. She's wanting to check if my brain's okay. And from that point on, I quit worrying about myself. I quit worrying about my injuries. It was just like, I'm going to remember this. I do not want to have any brain injuries. And I locked onto that and nothing else. And later on, she did ask me, and I could repeat it back to her exactly as she told me. And she won the women's downhill in the ski patrol women's competition.
Sounds like you still remember some of these details.
I was so determined to hang on to those facts, yes.
Okay. All right. Once you got down, what type of medical attention did you receive? Still at the ski resort?
Yeah, Whitney is not a paramedic. She's not an EMT. I didn't really expect her to have advanced knowledge about neurological testing and pupil testing and cranial nerve testing. She did a great job of doing exactly what she's supposed to do, just to be at that triage level to decide what kind of care I needed.
Okay, so what type of care did you get? What type of medical treatment did you get when you got down to the bottom?
No medical treatment.
Okay.
Am I missing something?
Did you get checked out at the Instacare or anybody?
Oh, after
Yes.
we left there. Yes, I asked Debbie, I said, where can I go and get checked and see what they say? And she said, well, let's stop at the Instacare. I know it's on the way. So I'd never been there before, but that's where we stopped and went in there.
Okay. All right. So you got checked out. When did you learn that it was Gwyneth Paltrow that you were in the collision with?
It was brought up, I think, that the people that came in to the room to check on me that were part of my group would check in and check out once, and which is what I tell them: go skiing, go enjoy yourself. And so it came up, and it probably was Craig who said, I heard him say it was Gwyneth Paltrow. And to me, it's like, I'm not into celebrity worship, so I didn't care at that point.
Did you think it was cool to collide with a celebrity?
Absolutely not. That is not who I am, no.
Do you ever write that? Ever tell anybody that?
I don't think it came out in those words, but I don't remember that. But I think I was trying to communicate to my kids, and the reason was because I got calls from friends that knew my kids that heard I got crushed at the ski resort, and so I thought I gotta let my kids know I'm okay. That was my main point. I don't want them to worry about me. I'm okay. And so I started it out, and May said, I'm famous or something.
Okay, and we're going to pull that up. Could you pull up
Thank you.
Exhibit 111, please? Yes, Defense Exhibit 111. We're going to call it the I'm famous email. Sometimes old technology like the Elmo works better than the new technology, doesn't it? Huh? You're not going to plug it in?
Oh, we're going to plug it in?
Yeah. All right. And Terry, you could come down if you need to, or does it show on your screen there?
Yeah, but I'm not the eye doctor. I'm not wearing fashion because I broke the pair of glasses I bought and couldn't find the old pair, so now I'm...
Okay. All right,
Yes,
so
I
I
can
want to
see.
go through this. Defense Exhibit 111. Do you see, first of all, there are two posts. The first looks like on the bottom is the first at 8 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
And then the response was at 9:32 p.m. Do you see that?
I do.
All right. The message reads, and I'm just tell me if I read it right, from you to Jenny, Polly, and Shay. Those are your three daughters?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And the subject said, I'm famous. Do you see that?
I do.
Why did you write, I'm famous?
You know, again, my head was scrambled. All I was trying to do is desperately communicate with my kids before they heard from somebody else I got crushed. So I didn't pick my words well, not at all how I felt. And I really was trying to add a little levity to a serious situation, and it backfired. Little did I know that this is where it'd be.
So you write, I'm famous, and then here's what happened from my friend and eyewitness, and then there's the link.
The link.
The link. We now know what the link shows.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were going to the GoPro. I'll withdraw my comment.
I'm just talking about the link.
Yes.
Okay, so we now know what the link is.
Yes.
Correct? The link is it's a really bad picture. Terrible picture. You'll get a clear picture. It's the picture of Whitney Smith. Oh, it's right there. Fantastic.
Thank
Okay.
you.
It's that, and then that leads to later comments back and forth between you and Craig.
Yes.
In that, under that picture, can you read what it says?
Yes. Whitney kept me entertained while probing
You
me.
want to speak in the mic?
Oh, yes. Whitney kept me entertained while probing me with questions to evaluate my senses. A dedicated outdoor person and horse lover from Michigan. She also took me down in the toboggan by herself and won the DV Women's Downhill Race Contest. A sweetheart. I was grateful for her.
Are those the things? First of all, did you write that under her picture?
You know, I don't know what time it was added. Carlene was hurrying back from St. George, and depending, I don't know, she helped me a lot verbalize things because things weren't making sense at all, and
All right.
communication, and she may have helped and participated in that. I don't know.
Those details, are those the details that Whitney wanted you to memorize as you were taking down the toboggan?
Yep.
All right, can you go back up to the emails? All right, so you send that out to your 3 daughters.
I did, yes.
Okay. And Shay, who testified last week, she responded to you with the top post, correct?
Yes.
All right. Can you read what it says?
I can.
Actually, let's put the subject. Read what the subject says.
It says, I'm famous at what cost, question mark.
Do you know why Shay wrote that?
Well,
That it, do you know?
I think she may have called me. Did she? Right after this, and so
Speculation.
right.
Sustained?
Do you remember?
I'm pretty certain that she checked in on me and made a phone call, and
Do you remember what you told her during the phone call?
yeah, I had a chance to talk about my symptoms exactly, I think, and that I said, you know, as many people that were on that slope that day, maybe a couple hundred within that vicinity, there has to be a GoPro picture or video. If it's a helmet mount, they're going to look over just like Craig did, right? And they're going to go catch it. They hear a holler, they're going to catch it. I'm going, I just know there's one out there. We got to find that. That is the evidence we need. And so
Terry,
she misinterpreted.
did you have a GoPro?
Absolutely. I do have one, yes, but I did not have it on that day.
Do you know of anybody in your ski group that had a GoPro?
No,
Have you ever seen a GoPro video of this accident?
absolutely not. No, I would have loved to have it. It was what we needed.
All right. Okay. We can take that off. Thank you. Let's talk about your injuries. What injuries, to your understanding, did you sustain in this collision?
At this point,
Right now.
Right now.
What your understanding as to what
What
happened to
happened?
Terry in this collision?
at this point, I know that I had at least 4 broken ribs. I sustained a concussion, and that's the 2 main factors, I think. And then later on, I had some right leg, and still do, right leg and anomalies, movement. It just has its own idea and thinking where it needs to be, opposed to what I'm thinking.
Okay. Let's talk about how your ribs, how your brain injury, how that has affected you. Okay. Have things in your life changed?
I'm like living another life now.
And let's focus on, we'll kind of go step by step, different things. Physical wise, how have you changed physically since the accident?
Well, I can't ski anymore. I was told that if I did and had another crash, that I could wind up full-time in a nursing home. The odds of that's very high.
So no
And-
more skiing.
Well, and I tried not to go back, and I did ski a few more times by myself just to see if I still could. I had this ungodly looking fluorescent red outfit I bought, a MIPS helmet to protect my brain better. And I thought, I can do this. This is my love and joy. I meet friends, I make friends, I stay with them the whole year. It's a year-round activity, and it's a lifelong activity. And so I tried, and I felt like I was skiing through landmines, just ridiculous. Looked ridiculous, all bright fluorescent red. Wasn't thinking very well. And then I'd have to stop every 30 yards and look back behind me to make sure no one was right behind me. Saw a reaction. And gradually gave it out, just 3 or 4 times, and I think I was done.
Okay. Before we go into more activities, what about physically? Do you have pains, aches, pains, problems? Your physical being, how are you?
I'm a much more careful person. I don't take any risks, and more brain damage, and I'm not sure I understand your question exactly.
Have you had any kinds of balance issues or headaches?
Of course, initially, that was just, my life was living in an orange chair, sitting there initially, and sleep for 12 hours, and then sit for half an hour and tell Carlene I gotta go back to bed.
But to be fair, it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not. No, I had no anymore. No, it's not.
Let's talk about mentally. How have you seen yourself change mentally? What are some things that you've noticed or difficulties that you've had mentally?
Many things I don't have the words nor the intelligence or training to explain.
You have lots of words.
I do. I admit. It's just, this has been a bizarre part of this process, is that I never feel like I've explained enough. It's like big gaps. I got to start from the beginning, and everyone may recognize that by going through and building a case, and they don't know what I'm talking about until I get to the subject. So everything is backwards. I'm building from the little things and then saying, oh, I'm talking about apples. They're going, I had no idea. Upside down and backwards. Communication just feels like I can't connect. And so I keep trying, desperately trying. And personality changes is not something I just know it's different. Things are weird.
You ever get lost?
Oh my gosh, that was among the first signs when I tried to get out and work on the green team. And
wait, whoa, what's the green team? What are you talking about?
I volunteer for lots of groups, probably a couple hundred hours a year at least, I would think. And green team is one of those that's significant, a large group of heavy lifters who pick up plastic and aluminum and recycle after concerts, and USANA was the main one, even though we've done Liberty Park, and it's a group of maybe 15 people, and we stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning picking that up there, and recycled. The last year I worked in 2015, 23 tons, and it's not just walking, 16,000 steps on what I saw, and it's bending and stooping and lifting and picking up and dragging a bag, and it's hard work, but really bonding with a lot of people and doing that. So that's what that is. So I tried going up there, and usually I carpool, and that day I didn't. I'm usually the driver. And so I parked and went and did our thing, and it's maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock, and went back to the car and headed home. I'm going the wrong direction. I'm going, what's going on? I've done this dozens of times. I was lost.
Now, just to clarify, this is since the ski crash, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And my instincts for always knowing where north is, and it's really been good, having grown up in the mountains. It just was instinctual. At night, I had no instincts anymore, anyway. And so I headed just instinctually where I thought I was supposed to be and wound up north or south or somewhere else, and that happened a second time.
Had that ever happened to you before this ski collision?
I've never been so needing maps. And so I'm pretty sure I've lost visual memory, because it doesn't knowing those turns and the houses where you turn, the streets you turn at, that feels like, and I know a little bit about that, that feels like a deficit I have. I don't retain that anymore. I can be there a dozen times and I still have to use maps to make sure I get there. Really odd.
What about emotional, Terry? How are your relationships with your family and friends since the ski accident?
You know, my interaction with my family has been more difficult, and I think of course, I'm desperately to be close to my family and my girls, but something's wrong in my essence and what I bring to the table with them, and communication is not as smooth, and it's been more difficult, no question. And they've told me they've noticed some changes. Yeah.
Now, I didn't know you before. The jury didn't know you before. What kind of relationships did you have with your girls before this crash?
My girls are always angels. I'm their protector. Some things happened to them, testifying that I heard about it. It hurts to see them in that place as their protector. I rode home with them and started sobbing, so I get caught up in that.
Do you love your girls?
Oh my gosh.
There's been some discussion about your relationship with Jenny and that it's not always optimal. From your perspective, what is your relationship like with Jenny? And how has it been even before this accident?
Yeah, Jenny and I probably don't communicate as well as I do with my other two daughters. Not probably, definitely we don't. We just have a hard time in that process, and I will not give up. I try to push to keep those lines open, but there's been times when there's been long breaches in our conversation. And yeah, I feel like her protector more than anybody does. So it's been harder for me to transition from being a parent to being an adult, an equal adult. I just feel like I need to intervene more on her behalf and help her. It's been hard.
Let's talk about Carlene. We heard her testify last week. She's a catch. Why'd you let her go?
In my choice, I wouldn't have, but I had to, after 8 months, I had to tell her to leave. I said, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you gotta leave. And
Why'd you tell her to leave?
I knew she didn't buy into this. She didn't buy in to me not being the same person and coming into a relationship. And I said, I'm not sure I'm going to get back to normal again. And I don't want you to feel like that I'm a crippled vet and you're going to stick it out with me, because I know you would. Half a brain or whatever. I know you would. But don't do it. You need your life. You run right now. And it was a sad time for both of us, I know. And she's in a great relationship with Bill now. And that was the purpose. And I think better than what I would have brought, honestly. It's hard to admit that, but it's true.
Council, would this be a good place to take a break?
Sure.
Okay, we'll take a short recess. Why don't you stand now, and then you're welcome to step down during the break. Counsel, would you approach the bench, please?
I realize it's less than smooth. And what I'd like to do, and what I've done in prior trials, is actually move to publish the deposition and then bring up on this the highlighted sentence and answer, because it's really slowed things down. And from my deposition with Mr. Sanderson, I suspect there's going to be that kind of slowness too, and I'd rather just bring it up.
Any issues with that?
Yes, Your Honor, we don't think it's proper. We'd rather do it the normal way, which is they read the deposition, but they don't show it.
I think I'll permit it because this is a party, and under Rule 32 it can be used for any purpose.
I thought he meant for the other witnesses.
And as long as, the section that you're using for impeachment, Mr. Owens, is the only section that's appearing up there.
Okay, that's the James issue, so I think we'll do it.
Yes, we're okay with that. I thought he was talking about some of the other witnesses that were preparing. You see, last night we thought we'd find out if Carrie Oakes was going to be offered.
We could
She-
bring in the jury.
Pardon?
We could bring in the jury.
Okay.
Let's
Call him in.
Get moving. I've committed to get this done quickly.
Yes, you did.
Your Honor, we have copies of the hard copies of the depositions. There were actually, it was 3 sittings, and can we go put them up there,
Yes.
1, 2, 3, and give you a copy?
Yes.
Do you mind? This is Peter.
Yes.
They're labeled 1, 2, and 3.
These are for the court?
Yes.
If you're putting it up on the screen, for the witness, they may not need to actually go into this. That may save you some time. But put them there just in case the witness needs them. Ms. Van Orman?
Yes, thank you.
We've had trouble with that chair.
Oh,
It wasn't you who broke it.
I've got one side higher than the other, but
That's what it does. I don't.
oh, that's for the lean inside.
But everything else functions well on it.
Okay, good. Oh, yeah, okay.
Tell you what, just leave it. We'll work
Move on.
around it.
Move on, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to some of the things that you've noticed. We've heard from others, but I want to hear from you.
Yes.
Have you had any type of anger issues since the collision that you've noticed?
There's no question I have a much wider range of, temperament than I had before. Much wider.
What about your social life? Do you, before the ski accident, what kind of things did you do?
I look back in the last couple of years, in fact, I did that, and I just realized I was in the groove of my life at that stage. I had a lady in my life that I dearly loved, and we just did everything together and spent, I believe it was 2 years together, and had cleaned up our lives and physically great shape. Both of us like to hike and walk and travel, and really were enjoying our lives. And we spent some time in St. George, where she's located, and I spent some time here. It was wonderful. And we cleaned up the businesses of homes and combining homes and parents' homes, and we had, she, as I hope everybody noticed, she is an amazing woman, and so I had a great deal of connection with her.
And so, since the ski accident,
Yes.
do you still go and do fun things and have that zest for life?
I've been self-imposed 90% staying in the house. A recluse, self-imposed recluse. Just not feeling as fun, not feeling as engaged in other things, just don't have that same spark I had, and don't feel the same about when I go to places.
You still travel though.
You know, I have traveled because...
Why? Let's talk about travel for a minute.
Yes.
Before the ski collision, did you do a lot of travel?
A lot of travel. It happened to be something that Carlene liked to do, and so we traveled a lot. Went on the only cruise that I was ever on before the crash, and yes, we had more plans.
Did you ever travel alone before the ski accident?
I did travel alone in a few places. Yes.
Okay. What about since the ski collision? Have you still traveled?
I have traveled, and as part of the problem, I'm just easily confused about things. So I usually request having somebody else along. Also because of this funny aberrant foot thing, wanting to go its own way, I don't feel as safe. And then also, things would happen, like I put the wrong name, I get their name spelled wrong, and important flight tickets and the birth date, which I should know. So it was difficult, and I really wanted someone to go with me. I didn't feel as secure in traveling alone.
Have you traveled alone since the ski accident?
I have not. I had one time when a friend, one friend, there's actually two, but I had one friend when we had planned a trip to Europe, a physician's assistant and my yoga instructor. And she decided right before the trip, Terry, I don't like you anymore. I don't know what's different. You're a different person. I don't like you anymore. And canceled her.
How'd that make you feel?
It was like, oh my gosh, I'd known her as long, and one other one as well, as long as I've lived here. Almost 5 years, I'm guessing, at that time. And it's like personality, like that's something that develops from the time you're a child. What do you do about a personality issue? Something's changed. I don't know, more aggressive. And you know what? That lady will not answer her phone or texts. And I have...
Well, we're not going to say her name on
No,
this being
we are
broadcast,
not.
so
We
we're
are
not
not.
We're not going to
She's
go
a
there.
lovely lady. Yes, she is.
Have your other friendships been affected as well?
Yes, another lady that I knew for quite some time, a sweetheart, also of a woman. We just got off kilter a little bit. Well, after I told Carlene she had to run, it was a few weeks later, I couldn't realize how lonely I was. Yes, I should have taken more time to absorb that, but I was so lonely because we were together all the time. So I reached out to her, and we spent a couple of activities together, and I couldn't believe the words that came out of her mouth. She said, Terry.
This is hearsay, Your Honor.
It is hearsay, so you can't testify as to what she said. But how did it make you feel?
Well, it made me feel like, what's wrong with me, and how do I fix my personality? How do I fix it? I'm a different person. It's a pretty complex issue. And I lose self-confidence. The person I am, I'm going, what happened?
Terry, are you trying to improve yourself?
I've been in denial. I've been in denial about my issue. I refuse to believe I have brain issues. I've just done everything I can. I knew I had a critical window to restore stuff, and I did everything I was told and everything I could find out about trying to get those neurons reconfigured in a good way, and I haven't found it's helped, so I'm still in denial. I keep thinking there's got to be something.
Are you trying to improve yourself?
Yes, I don't want to have brain issues. I'm trying to prove I don't have it. Everything I do, I'm trying to prove I don't have that wrong with me.
There's been a lot of discussions about how Terry was before this ski collision. And could you put up Defense Exhibit 23, please? And I'm actually going to move forward the admission of the entire Defense Exhibit 23. I'm assuming there's no objection.
Does any of this need to be redacted?
So, let me just state that my understanding was that Ms. Van Orman was going to be done at 11, and
I'm
then it
almost done.
changed.
Right now, she's moving for Defense Exhibit 23. Any objection?
No.
Okay, so it's received.
As to the redaction concern, I do believe at least some parts of it maybe need that, but it looks like we're not showing those.
Are you showing his address, for instance?
Well, at the bottom of that, do you have that exhibit in front of you?
I think I do, yes. Yes, I think I do.
All right. Don't go as far as the address shown, please. There's the address. There. Yep, thank you. Do you see where it says chief complaint down at the bottom?
Yes, I do. Yes.
It says regular visit.
Yes.
Was this a regular visit that you were attending with your provider?
It could be. I don't know. I usually saw her once a year or once every 6 months. So if that's what it says, I believe that's.
Okay. And just for reference, Terry, I know you weren't here, but this is the I'm getting old exhibit, the I'm getting old visit. Could you go to the next page, please? Okay, that's true.
Is this Defense 23 or?
Defense 23. All of Defense 23.
I have nothing in front of me now.
It's coming. Don't worry.
Oh.
All right, so this is the second page of that exhibit. Talks about 69-year-old male with HTN, HLD. We're not going to go through all of those
Yeah.
things, okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Just got over a URI. Do you know what a URI is?
I do.
What is it?
Upper respiratory infection.
Okay. So you just got over that yesterday, you think, at least according to this record. No cough, just runny nose, and upper respiratory symptoms. This is going to be his test for the cough, had not had a persistent cough, etc. Weight gain, thinks eating out too much. Were you eating out too much?
Yes. Carlene and I chose to eat out instead of cook.
Okay. And not getting enough exercise.
Yes.
Thinks you've gotten old all of a sudden. Terry, what does that mean? Did you tell your doctor that?
You know, I relate it to the URI. If someone who's just gotten over a viral or bacterial infection, either one, over 2 weeks with a cough and just feeling worn out, I wouldn't doubt I wouldn't say something like that. Most
And in
of us
fact, it says, does not think depressed, mood is good, just not doing the things you used to, but also thinks you're going to start skiing again and reinstate your gym membership. Did you have a plan?
would. Yes, I absolutely did have a plan.
All right. And that's all I need for that. Talk about planning, and I meant to ask you about this before we move on. Do you know what executive functioning means?
Yes, I'm familiar with that term actually from before.
What's your understanding of what it means?
It's the ability to coordinate your actions through your life, to be able to put things together, make decisions about them, get things done, and be efficient and effective, and be able to multitask and be effective, be efficient and effective.
Can we approach?
Sure.
along. So Terry, you were talking about executive functioning. You kind of gave what that means to you. It looked like to me from Exhibit 23, you were able to make a plan in your life and kind of follow through with that. Have you been able to do that since the ski accident?
The examples of not being able to do that are one of my collections I keep track of all the things I want to do and can't do, and there's thousands. There's at least 12, I guess I should say 1,200 or 1,500 items on my to-do list. When I look back to 2016, it repeats every day, whatever changes I make. I look back to 2016 and there were half a dozen back there, which is Stephen Covey's rule, right? That's what you get done. You mark them as priorities and get them done. It's just now continuous stuff I don't get done. And I can't tackle because I can't figure it out. It's just goofy. The things that I could do, I was really handy. My dad was a handyman. And I learned, and I have the tools. I have an example.
You know what? I would love to hear the example, but I have made a promise.
Go for
so
it.
I want to shift gears.
Let's do it.
At some point, after the ski accident, some time passed, and there was a press conference that was held. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't involved in that. I wasn't even your lawyer at the time. Was the press conference your idea?
Absolutely not.
Do you know why the press conference was held?
Your Honor, that's... Is he waiving his attorney-client privilege? Because if he is, I'm going to drive a bus through that.
What's the objection, counsel?
He just violated his own attorney-client privilege, whose idea it was.
Objections overruled as to relevance.
What is your understanding as to why a press conference was held?
We understood and we agreed how important it would be.
And hold on. I don't want you
Okay,
to talk about anything that you talked about with your counsel.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you have an understanding why a press conference was held?
Yes. I knew that it was very important to have a video of that particular activity. It would just be convincing and would settle this beyond all doubt.
Like a GoPro.
Exactly like a GoPro. But all the other cameras up there had to be somebody. And that's what I knew. In fact, I even looked recently and put up a notice at Deer Valley if anybody had a copy.
After that press conference, did any GoPro videos surface?
No, none.
Have they ever?
No, never.
Terry, did you cause the ski collision with Miss Paltrow?
Absolutely not. I swear to my God and my family and my other Father in heaven, it's like, no, I did not.
Why did you bring this lawsuit?
Your Honor, can we move to strike like religious oaths here?
Sustained. And
Why
the
did you bring
The jury
this?
should disregard the last part of the last response.
Why did you bring this lawsuit?
You know, I realized after a period of time that no one believed how serious my injuries were. Just because I wasn't out and interacting continuously didn't mean there was something any wrong with me. I really, really wanted an opportunity. I knew there was damages, and then there was lots of insults added to that singular incident. Lots of insults along the way, dozen of other times where everything went contrary to my value system. And I just went, you know what? My daddy would say, if you got the truth, you bring the truth. Don't let anybody back you down. And that's what I felt I needed to do. And I'm here to prove that truth, only with facts.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Van Orman. Mr. Owens?
So I caught a cold, so I'm kind of keeping my distance from people. Let's see, where's that little microphone that moves?
It's just on the table there.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. Sorry, I'm going to be wiping my nose a little. And with this climate and dry air, I might have a bloody nose.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about a few things. So we're not going to get done with you today because we have witnesses this afternoon, but I think we can go till noon. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sure. Whatever you like.
Did you ever say to me, I wrote I'm famous because it's cool that I had a collision with a celebrity? Was that your thinking at the time? And you said yes. Do you deny it?
Not if you have it on record, no. I don't deny it. I don't remember it. But
Well, let's go to page 15. Can you bring that up? Move to publish the deposition, which
Your Honor, he said he doesn't deny it, so why are we publishing?
because he earlier denied it.
I'll overrule the objection and permit that portion of the deposition to be published.
May I ask when this happened?
Sure. Like 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, you told this jury, I've never thought it was cool that I had a collision with a celebrity. Do you recall that?
Yes, I guess I did say that, absolutely.
And
But
that's not a true statement, is it? You have said this in your deposition, true?
honestly, I don't ever remember saying it.
Bring it up
But,
whenever you
but
can.
I don't doubt you. I misspeak a lot.
Okay, this is page 15, line 5 through 8. So the words "I'm famous," this is my question, seem to say, I think it's cool that I had a collision with a celebrity. Was that your thinking at the time? And your answer was yes. I guess, yes. Now let's go to your weight. You testified today that you were 163 and 5'5", true?
Yes, I did.
And do you agree that at your deposition you told me you were 175 to 180 and 5'8"? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Qualified, yes.
No, I don't want to qualify.
I can't
Did you
answer
tell
it.
me that? Like I said, how much do you weigh? And you said 175/80. How much did you weigh? And then you said 5'8". How high are you? How tall are you? 3 inches different, right?
I just found that out. I didn't realize. I've had
Sir,
people telling me that.
You
honestly.
told this jury that at the time of the accident you were 163 and 5'5". Did you not, like 2 hours ago?
I did, yes. Yes.
But you told me in your deposition years ago that you were 170 to 180 and 5'8".
true?
How many years ago did we do this?
3 years ago.
I've lost a lot of weight. I'm down to my usual weight.
You know we're interested not now in your weight today. We're interested in your weight on the day.
Thank you. I knew where that was
Do you
going.
agree you were 5'8"?
Yes.
Have you shrunk 3 inches?
I couldn't believe it either. I wanted to argue because I think I'm 5'8" yet.
You,
But I
you do have
seriously-
degenerative back disease, and
didn't-
those
I didn't-
discs are
I've always
getting
been-
squeezed. Is that why?
I have to say yes. I've always been 5'8.5", and I knew I shrunk a half an inch, but 3, wow. It's a lot.
Mr. Sanderson, we're trying, in council, let's not speak on top
Thank
of
you.
one another so
Thank
that
you.
we have a clear, clean record.
You're right. Yes, Your Honor.
When we talked about you being unconscious, and do you agree that someone who's unconscious doesn't have a stopwatch to figure out how long they were actually unconscious?
I agree. That's true.
Everything you've learned was from Craig after the collision.
No.
Yeah, that's over vague, and that's I'll withdraw it because I agree that's
Not
over
everything.
broad.
It's not everything. Sorry.
Right. As far as level of length of unconsciousness, do you agree that you weren't stopwatching yourself?
I have no idea.
Yeah, and yet you did tell people it varied over time. First a few seconds, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. You did that, right? Do you disagree?
Yes, it did vary.
And why did you do that? Why would you say, I don't know, then it's a few seconds, then it's 5 minutes, and then you told your psychiatrist at the VA it was up to 10 minutes long? Why did you change?
I had no idea, and I was searching. I really had no idea, and I was trying to answer. I sometimes make that mistake at guessing, but I really didn't know.
And it was to try to get the attention of the doctor. Do you remember telling me that?
I don't. I don't know how to.
Let's find it.
What's the date?
Let's go to page 95.
Which deposition, 1, 2, or 3?
1. They're all cumulative, so the page will tell you that. Page 95, starting at line 7. When you first tell your healthcare providers a few seconds, and then later it turned into 5 minutes, and then later it turned into 10 minutes, do you know that you gave varying answers to people? And then whenever you can pull it up, page 95.
Yes.
The witness says, and then can we go to the middle paragraph? Yes, I do. And that was referencing the fact I personally did not know. I was not a witness to how long I was unconscious. And so somebody told me it was 2 seconds, and somebody said it was 10 seconds, 10 minutes. And so I didn't know. It was hard for me to say. And then, next paragraph, it depends on my visit. If I want to make a deal out of it, and that was the reason for my visit, then I might say for 10 minutes. I might pick the worst. That's kind of how we are. We go to the doctor's attention. We go to get the doctor's attention about a specific thing. And it wasn't at that point how long I was unconscious was not a point of relevance for me. That's your testimony, correct?
I'm even confused by those statements. So,
Yes or no?
yes, it is.
By the way, when we took your deposition, there's a lot of formality to it. Too, you're placed under oath just like the one you were put on today.
Yeah.
And your counsel's present, and you've been able to. You were able.
Atlanta. Uh-oh.
We are Atlanta.
We are Atlanta.
We can do better. Let's show you the video.
7 hours or so of deposition.
I can't really hear you, sir. But my question is, you had your advice of your counsel there.
Yes.
And I asked at the beginning of the deposition, is there any reason why you can't give me your best testimony today? And you said no, correct?
Yes.
And I even told you, I think, that if you testified differently at your deposition than you would in front of this jury, I would call it to their attention. Do you recall this?
Yes.
And you took an oath, and you then had the opportunity to make any changes to your deposition transcript. Is that true?
Yes.
And did you?
No, I don't remember making any changes. I think I made 2 with you. I said 2 corrections and that I remembered.
Okay. You
And
didn't.
you
You
took
didn't
them.
make some, and counsel told you let's not submit those.
I haven't looked at these depositions at all. Not at all.
Do you dispute that? Well, I heard you call Eric Christensen, a Deer Valley instructor for 40 years, a bully. Did you say that?
I did say that, yes.
And that he was yelling at your face.
Yes. I figured out. I didn't actually know that until.
And we'll meet him at 1 o'clock. Deer Valley's known, or at least puts itself out there, doesn't it, as like the most customer friendly they could possibly be. Do you agree?
I agree.
Were your skis on or off at the end of the collision? Do you know?
Absolutely, they were on.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you do remember some things after.
Yes.
Okay. And Craig, you. By the way, you said you weren't here for your daughters, but you haven't been here for several statements, right?
Several, yes.
It was more than just like, I don't want to make my daughters uncomfortable. You haven't been here for many.
I didn't.
Yeah. And Sam Goldstein said part of the reason is you don't take criticism well. Do you agree with that statement?
I always want to be a better person, and I even tell my kids, if I'm doing something wrong, tell me. I want to be better.
All right. So do you agree or disagree with this statement? Mr. Sanderson does not take criticism well.
Hard for me to measure that. I've not been around other humans as much as I have been in the past. So it's hard for me to measure that. Honestly, I don't.
Do you agree that when Whitney came with the toboggan, she asked you what happened, and you said, I don't know. Do you agree with that statement?
If that's on the record, I don't disagree with it. I don't remember that particular part of our interaction. I just remember she said something to me, and
it's the first question, right? Ski patroller comes up. By the way, you've hurt yourself before skiing, true?
never needing help, right?
Before this incident, though, you injured your knee.
I had when I first learned to ski that first year.
All right.
Beaver.
So you don't dispute that the first thing Whitney asked you was like, how are you? And what happened? Do you agree those are like the first 2 questions?
I have no recollection of those questions. I don't. I would think she would reach out to me, but I don't.
Did you ever complain to Deer Valley about Eric Christensen, like I was treated like a bully?
I had a lot of time to think about it.
Yes or no?
I don't know if I did. I think when I contacted Deer Valley, I was just after I wanted to find out who hit me, and I wanted to copy the records, and I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, you never once wrote to Deer Valley like, hey, your ski instructor is a total SOB to me. He treated me poorly.
That's correct. I didn't bring it up because I did not want to cause some anger from them. I wanted to copy and find out who hit me.
But 7 years later, you're here saying he was terrible to me, just terrible. Craig Ramon said words to the effect that Christensen said to Ramon, your buddy took out Gwyneth Paltrow. Did you hear those words?
I did.
You personally heard them with your... So now I want to be clear because I'm not trying to confuse you. Did you hear them when you were on the ski slope? Okay. And Ramon did not do anything to try to set the record straight at that point. Do you know anything about that?
About who hit me?
Correct.
When we got down into the
At that
medical
point
care.
was
Yeah.
my question. On the mountain.
Yeah, on the mountain, but in the shed. I was.
Okay. You said your skis were on after the collision. Do you recall your head being downhill or uphill?
Absolutely downhill. I was going down, and absolutely.
So several witnesses say the opposite, and you
Not true.
disagree?
I disagree absolutely because I couldn't get up.
And where was Gwyneth's head when she came to arrest? Head down, head up?
I have no idea. As far as I know, she didn't exist.
Because you didn't see anything.
I was out. I had no idea. Everything else is what I heard.
Did you tell Eric Christensen, according to his report, that she appeared right in front of me? Yes or no?
No.
So he just made
Never.
that up.
Must have.
Deer
because
Valley just falsified a record. Is that your opinion?
I never would have said that. I knew where it came from.
You know you sued Deer Valley in this claim, true?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance?
Sustained.
And we're not dealing with any of that today. True? We're not dealing with this.
Objection, relevance, move to strike.
Sustained. The question is stricken and the jury should disregard.
So, Your Honor, I just want to be able to ask if you're willing, is you're not suing Deer Valley today?
Your Honor, objection, third objection now, move to strike again.
Sustained, stricken,
Okay.
disregard, please.
I hear you saying you were flying through the air after she hit you. Did you say those words? Yes
Today?
Or, yes or no?
Today?
Today.
Today I did.
With regard to relationships prior, you had 2 divorces, true?
I did, yes.
And then was it about 10 years of just dating various different other women?
I guess I wouldn't know exactly. Wouldn't be unreasonable, maybe.
Well, I'm just saying if the incident occurred in 2016, when was your second divorce? About 10 years
30
earlier.
ago. I'm thinking 30 years ago, I'm thinking.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, it's nice that Carlene, you'd found a nice partner, but you were not engaged. Is that true?
We were not.
And
that's
she
where we
was
had-
actually living hundreds of miles away from you?
We went back and forth. It's 3 hours, 4 hours maybe, the most.
A couple hundred miles, I think, isn't it?
I don't know.
St. George. We'll move on.
Thank you.
Do you recall saying that you agreed that saying I'm famous was a crazy thing to say? Agree?
Absolutely, it's not me. I don't buy into that.
But it was you, right? Just to be
Right.
clear. When you say it wasn't me, it was in fact you.
It's the other personality that's inhabiting my body right now.
And you blame Gwyneth Paltrow for that.
Yes, no question.
Do you recall having a kind of a stroke event like 10 years or so before the incident?
Yeah, but that diagnosis has been changed.
But it's an ischemic retinal occlusion,
Probably due to a migraine.
and you lost your right eye in that.
I lost some vision in that eye, yes.
And that was one of the reasons you retired.
One of many. Mhm.
Yeah. In terms of your anger, do you agree you sought therapy for anger management about 10 years ago?
I don't.
Or 15 years ago? I guess 06, about the time of your second divorce. Because if you
I don't
deny it, we're going
remember.
to pull it up.
I don't remember that purpose, but yes, okay. Was I seeing a shrink or?
So you can't ask me questions, unfortunately.
Sorry, thank you.
All I'm trying to have you say yes or no, and then we go to documents if we need to. So do you agree that you were seeing a therapist at the VA for anger management about 10 years even before the incident?
I honestly don't remember it, but if you say so, I believe you.
Yeah, I can't testify. So if you
I
dispute it, then we go to the record.
I don't look at these records. I have it, 5,000 pages.
So you don't dispute it?
I don't.
Okay. And did you tell Shay that there was a GoPro recording?
Absolutely not.
Do you recall at the exact time of this event, going down the hill, you were sort of crossing over to the right? Does that sound accurate?
No.
You were always on the right?
Yes.
Okay, Christensen is going to testify this afternoon, so we'll talk about that. And do you agree in the 5 seconds or so before the collision, there was a female skier, kind of beginner-ish, on your left?
Yes.
And do you agree that you actually tilted your head to the left to sort of confirm that you weren't going to hit her, that she would be okay?
After the accident?
5 seconds before the
Before,
accident.
no.
Did you so testify ever?
I saw her. I don't know. What I remember is I always saw her. She was a little uncomfortable, and I gave her a little more room. Just kind of what you do.
And did
Passing
you,
on your right.
And did you turn because of your right eye is blind?
No.
Did you turn toward her?
No reason to.
Look, you did not.
No.
Okay, we'll pull that up in
Please.
probably at our next visit. You texted about Whitney, the toboggan person, how happy you were with her. True?
I did, yes. Give her full credit.
And we've both read it. It's pretty articulate, pretty detailed, right?
It is.
You knew you were being subjected to a brain test, like a memory test.
Well, I'm not. Okay, go ahead.
Right? Didn't you tell us that? When she said, I want you to remember some things.
Yes, oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, you knew you were being subject to a brain memory test.
I've never focused so hard.
And you came through with flying colors, right?
I did.
You knew them all?
I did.
Remember President Trump said they gave me 5 things to remember and I got them all. Do you remember this?
I don't pay attention. No.
Sustained.
You called her a sweetheart and that she entertained you. And that was all really within a half hour of the incident? A half hour of the collision? Is that true?
I don't remember the time frame. Carlene may have been there by then. I don't know. She was helpful.
But it was at the base where the toboggan went down to.
Yes.
That wasn't. Well, tell me, is that at the bottom of Deer Valley or is that a mid-level
Mid-level,
clinic?
I think. I think it was mid-level.
All right. And
I
is there a picture of you two in a wheelchair smiling? Do you remember that picture?
I haven't seen it.
Ever?
I don't remember seeing it, no.
Shay mentioned it, that there was a picture of you, and maybe it was at the Instacare. Do you remember any picture of you in the Instacare in a wheelchair smiling?
No, I don't.
Okay, and I asked you about it, and you said I just smiled because they told me.
If somebody says smile.
Someone said smile, and you smiled.
I don't remember.
Does this ring a bell from your deposition?
It does not.
Okay.
But that's.
So you took a picture of Whitney, right?
I did.
Composed that very nice email with all the details, and then you sent it to your group.
Probably, I don't say I composed it. It could have had Carlene's help. She may have been there then.
And that's, well, you did it though, right? You came up with those exact words. Carlene didn't do that.
I may have helped her.
Well, she doesn't know she grew up in Michigan, that she's won the Deer Valley collision, or the Deer Valley Grand whatever race, right?
That's right.
All right.
She doesn't know that.
Do you think Carlene was present at the Deer Valley Clinic?
I know no, she wasn't at the Deer Valley Clinic. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No. It was when we
I
got
may have
home.
misunderstood
She
you.
was on her way.
Do you remember Carlene didn't buy into this? Was that your quotes in terms of your... did you say those words just like an hour or two ago?
Carlene didn't buy into what, Mr. Owens?
Do you remember saying those words? She wasn't buying into this?
What was the question?
It was why your relationship with her deteriorated after the collision.
I misspoke. I absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand
Okay. To be clear on that issue, and I realize I'm jumping around, but I'm keeping an eye on the clock. Did you, with regard to Carlene, it sounds like you shut it down. You shut the relationship down. Is that true?
I made a very strong statement that she was going to be better off without me. Yes.
And you told her that?
Yes.
So Carlene was here a couple days ago and said, he never told me. Did you tell her? I had no idea why.
I told her what I said. What I thought I said was, Carlene, you got to run. I don't want you stuck with me. And I know you would stay by me. I know she would.
So then you started calling your daughters, it sounds like, even before the I'm famous thing. Is that true?
I don't remember that, honestly.
Shay said she took a call from you about 6 something.
Okay.
So about 6 hours later.
Okay.
Have you ever read her depositions,
No.
by the way, or Jenny's?
I told him I wouldn't.
Okay. And they had even expressed like, hey, Dad, we're kind of concerned because we got to talk about you and how you were growing up and things, and we're kind of concerned that it will hurt your feelings. Do you recall this?
I didn't know why, but I don't remember them telling me that. I decided that before.
All right, so you're at the clinic. You take a picture. This is at this on the Deer Valley Hill. You take a picture of Ramon and one of the other skiers, and they're all smiles. Did you know that?
Boy, that's a little bit. I do kind of remember that. Uh-huh.
Can you bring up the picture of
I
Ramon?
do.
Sure.
Yeah. I believe that did happen.
And
I don't remember them being smiles.
okay, we'll
Just two
pull
people.
it up here.
Okay.
And do you have the number D? I'm going to find it. 1 second. D87 moved to admit. I think it was.
If not, no objection.
Go ahead.
D87 received.
Do you remember, and I can give you a hard binder if you want. It looks like the monitor's working. Do you recognize that you took this picture?
I recognize the picture, and I probably did take it.
All right.
Smile, you know.
When you went to the Instacare, do you have a personal memory of that?
I really don't. I don't remember if I had an X-ray. It's like,
Okay,
I don't know.
I think the physician assistant's coming tomorrow, but he wrote no signs of confusion.
Oh.
Do you dispute that?
No, I wasn't there. Not him.
Do you agree that in your post-collision talk with Shay about 6 hours after the incident, you told her, "I'm okay"?
That would be me. My
Yes.
parents didn't find out I was divorced until the last day. I don't want to put them through that misery. I don't share my information.
All right, so I think that's a yes, but I'm going to re-ask it because we need to get it clear. At 6 o'clock, just 6 hours after the collision, did you tell your daughter Shay, I'm okay? Yes?
Yes,
Asked and answered.
thank you.
Overruled?
And then on the hill itself, with the accident having occurred just in the prior minutes, do you agree that someone asked you, are you okay?
That is absolutely, beyond a doubt, wrong. No one spoke to me when I was needing help. No one stopped. No one.
So your testimony is Eric Christensen just sat there and looked at an unconscious man for several minutes? Is that your testimony?
Yes, he never said one word to me that I recall. Maybe when he got me up.
So Ramon, although he did try to change his deposition, did say that at one point you said, I'm okay. Do you dispute it?
I dispute it.
Now,
I
to
never felt
dispute it,
okay.
you have to know everything you said, right? Like, I know everything I said, and I didn't say it. Are you saying you have a perfect memory of what you said on that hill just after the collision? Yes or no?
I knew.
That's an argumentative.
That's not argumentative.
Overruled?
Yes or no?
Um,
Say yes or no, please.
question again, please.
Yes. Do you agree that you do not have a perfect memory of what you told others after in the 1, 2 minutes, 3 minutes after the collision? Or do you have a perfect memory?
Well, that word is so ultimate, perfect. No.
Right.
An answer would be no, it's not perfect.
Okay. So it's possible you said, for instance, Eric Christensen is going to testify, first witness this afternoon, that you told him, I'm okay. Do you dispute it?
I dispute it. I
Okay.
never felt safe and like anybody was there to help me.
And then
I would not have said it.
He's about to testify that not only he was there, but a ski patroller duo came over. One of them came over and said, do you guys need any help, or words to that effect? And that you consulted with Ramon and then said no. Do you dispute it?
I absolutely would have said no. I never said safe.
So I don't want to say what I would have said. I want to know if you remember. Do you remember that?
No.
you-
I
Okay.
don't remember.
In fact, you don't even remember that ski patrollers came by. True?
No, I do not remember that.
Yeah.
Ever.
We talked about your right eye, but your left eye also has some severe vision loss. Is that true?
No. I see 20/20 in that eye.
Did you have a cataract in that eye?
I did.
And that cataract's been removed
Yes.
since the ski collision.
Yes.
There's a report on February 4, 2015, that his vision in his left eye is decreasing, blind in right eye. Was your left eye decreasing 1 year before the ski collision?
Increasing in visual acuity or
Sorry.
in prescription?
Decreasing. Was your left eye decreasing?
Yes. Getting less need for prescription. But not the visual acuity.
Now, in addition to your stroke, you also had your heart was not perfect. Do you agree? Before the ski collision?
Perfect. Of course, I couldn't agree with the word perfect, no.
Palpitation. You had palpitations? Agreed?
Had them most of my life.
Yeah. How many years?
40 years probably.
And what's the lay term for palpitation? Is it just
It's called
unusual
it's-
beat?
It's just a little out of sync that happens when I'm really tired, or if I've been on the treadmill too long or running too long and hard, then it will get a little funny syncope. It's called PCVs.
So your beat's off. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but it's nothing I notice. It doesn't change.
Okay. But you were on 2 different high blood pressure medications. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And that's because one wasn't adequate. You needed both.
Well,
Objection relevance.
We're going to I can explain if you want, Your Honor, that this event changed.
Later witnesses that to which this forms part of their opinion?
Sure, his overall health, yes.
There's no claim that his heartbeat or anything was affected by this accident.
Your Honor, he says this has utterly changed his life.
Yeah, just a minute. Counsel, would you approach, please? Afternoon recess at this time and return at 1:30. Thank you. May be seated. So, counsel, consistent with the motion in limine ruling that the court gave at the before trial, Mr. Sanderson, you can certainly step down. There was a laundry list of medical issues, and medical issues, if they're relevant, they absolutely should come in. If they're not relevant, they should not come in. So there will need to be, I need from you an assurance that this is a conditional relevance situation, and that you will tie in the relevance later, and not just a vague statement from an expert that this guy had a lot of health problems before. I need to know, it needs to be tied in. So maybe you want to look at the reports or depositions to make sure that whatever it is that you're examining this witness on will be tied in later by a medical expert as to the relevance either before or after. I mean, either one of those would be relevant.
James is sort of on the damages end, so I'll defer to him on the specifics. But we are talking, when they say it's utterly ruined my life, we're talking about the whole package. And aging is one of the primary, just normal aging is one of the primary issues for our experts. And so we got to look at the whole package, not how about this heart thing, and how about this prostate thing, and how about this. We will argue, and our experts will back it, is that that's the reason he is kind of slowly deteriorating, progressive aging. Okay.
So take a look at what the opinions will be, and if you feel as though they're tied in, then you can go into those areas.
Thank you. It seemed like there was one other issue. Okay, I just want to kind of put this on the stand. So I had 7 witnesses lined up. I was supposed to take over the case this morning at 9 a.m. Many are out of state. Plaintiffs' counsel, I don't dispute everyone's working hard, but it has significantly thrown off my witness list to the point that I'm actually having to cancel witnesses, and so that we can read their transcripts. And some people, some of our experts in particular, flying in out of state, I can testify during this small window. And as of last night, they were going to be done at 10, then it was 11, and they still haven't rested.
There were delays today because of weather.
True. I guess I'm not really blaming people, except for I still don't have the case. They're not ready to rest. Multiple assurances that they were going to rest on Friday. Thank you.
Okay. And also for the record, the court didn't issue an order concerning, when one case must be rested and one other must be rested. I've been leaving it up to counsel to work that out, and from my perspective, it looks like everyone's doing the best they can.
Everyone's working hard. I don't dispute it, but it's hard when I have kids flying in.
Understand.
You want any response to that, or should we just hold our peace?
Why don't we take lunch?
All right.
Be back at 1:30. And you're getting a printout for the amount of trial time that's been used so far.
Yes.
As soon as we get to a working printer.